Yep, so they're back at it again. What they're planning on doing is stalling foundational Black American reparations. This is Gavin Newsom. Gavin Newsom is dragging it out, trying to get slight little brownie points along the way to make it seem as if he supports it, but he really doesn't. And we know that, and we're exposing the tactic from the Democratic Party to drag reparations indefinitely.
The price of freedom is death. We're coming to get our check.
Welcome, my brothers and my sisters. I'm your brother Afro Lee. We're going to have a good one tonight. We got much to discuss, all right? Because the Democratic Party, we're going to be talking about in California. Shout out to my California viewers. Shout out to everybody, okay? But special shout out because on this live stream, we're going to be discussing how in California, the Governor Gavin Newsom, and his cronies, okay, and I guess you can call them the Congressional Black Caucus, they're out here playing games. That's what they're doing. They're out here playing games with reparations. What they're attempting to do after last year, they fumbled the bag deliberately because they really don't want reparations. This is the whole thing. None of them really do want no real legitimate reparations. So they're drafting out these small little diet reparations bills and laws and things of the sort to really drag this thing out. They're dragging it out, and they're feeling as if they can do this all the way up until election season, they can say like, hey guys, do you guys see we've been actually drafting reparations legislation. We've been drafting reparations policies. This is what we've been doing. You guys said that you wanted reparations, and here we are giving you reparations. So, but we need your vote if we really want to get this thing done. If we really want to get this thing done, then we are going to need your vote. This is what they're saying. But we're not buying none of this at all. We're not buying none of this because last year they showed us, all of them showed us how they really feel about reparations. The Democratic Party has made it officially clear, abundantly clear, painfully clear what they think about reparations, how they feel about reparations, okay? And we're not going to let them come up with these light diet versions of reparations to a degree and then say, well, hey, something's better than nothing. Am I right? We're not letting that happen. So we got to discuss this, y'all. Now, I got to play the copyright disclaimer to establish to YouTube that everything we play thus forth is protected under the guise of fair use. Now, as I'm doing that, what I would greatly appreciate is if y'all hit this like button. Y'all make sure y'all hit this like button, okay? We all up in here. We early in, but we making sure we getting it done. So y'all hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and hit the notification bell to establish that you want to be notified. Make sure y'all do that. I would greatly appreciate that. Please and thank you, and we'll be right back. Copyright disclaimer. Under Section 107 of the Copyright Act 1976, allowance is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, teaching, scholarship, and research. Fair use is a use permitted by copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing. Nonprofit, educational, or personal use tips the balance in favor of fair use. All right, so I'm going to start off here. I want to start off by getting into this real quick. Hold on. Oh, I turned my camera off. Didn't mean to do that. Start off by going into this article. This is from AP. Okay, hold on. Make this a little bit bigger for everybody so people can see exactly. I think I see. Hold on. Bam. Okay, so we're doing it like this. Doing it like this. So California, this is California's Newsom, Gavin Newsom, signs a reparations study law, but vetoes other racial justice proposals. Okay, so the study law, what is this about? Because he was bragging about this. A lot of people bragging, oh, Gavin Newsom, he signed reparations. Gavin Newsom, he supports reparations. Gavin Newsom is pro-reparations. So let's look into it, okay? Let's look into it. We got to look at the details of it. So California Governor Gavin Newsom delivered a mixed bag Monday for proponents of bills aimed at addressing the state's legacy of racist and discriminatory practices against Black Americans. All right, it says, He signed a law authorizing 6 million of California State University for California State University to study how to confirm an individual status as a descendant of an enslaved person. Now, okay, I'm not mad at that. Okay, cool. Hey, that part is a necessary part because let's be honest, okay? We all know if you know if you're an immigrant or not. You know if your parents had to immigrate here or your ancestors had to immigrate into America. We all know that. If you are FBA, if you're a foundational Black American, you know that. We know that. Now, we don't have to actually study to know we FBA. We don't got to study that. We don't got to find no paperwork or nothing like that to know that. You just know. You know if you FBA or not. Now, when it comes to actual reparations, you're going to have to prove that. That's the thing. You are going to have to verify if you are FBA. So, yeah, okay, that part is okay. That part's necessary because I know it. My parents know it, but anybody can just say that they're FBA. If we don't have a system in place for people to actually verify so they can find their paperwork and go through the verification process to verify that your family lineage has been here and that you are a real descendant, then any person who looks Black and doesn't have a accent, a super thick accent, they'll just cosplay and they'll say, hey, I'm a descendant of slaves too. So we'll have a whole bunch of cosplayers. So therefore, there does need to be a verification process before we get to the next step. So that is the first step. All right. So that's step one. Okay. Now let's continue. So he says, but he vetoed other bills the California Legislative Black Caucus championed as tools to atone for the state's history. So he signed off on the study for people to verify if they're a descendant of slaves. Which actually doesn't do anything by itself. The reason why that's important is for the verification for the next step, for the actual benefits. You knowing if you're a descendant of slaves or you having verification or proof or documentation that you're a descendant of slaves by itself doesn't do anything. What is that supposed to do if that doesn't come with anything else? All right. So it continues to say, one of them would have authorized public and private colleges to give administration preferences to descendants of enslaved people. This is like how this is kind of like how they do when it comes to immigrants. Now, I'm not mad at that. This is how they do when it comes to immigrants. They do the same thing when it comes to immigrants. They give immigrants different student visas and all of these stuff. This is what affirmative action was supposed to be before people of all lives mattered it and made everybody and their mama a minority and then allowed them to skip the line ahead of us. This is what it was supposed to be. So if they are giving college admissions, or if college admissions do have a preference when it comes to selecting people based off of their lineage, cool. That's cool. All right. So that's something for the youth. You know what I'm saying? Now, college, okay. There's nothing wrong with that as long as that's done properly. But he said no. He said, we ain't doing none of that. No. He said no to that. Okay. He said, hey, all that benefiting from being a descendant of slaves, we can find out if you were a descendant of slaves. We can do that. But you benefiting off of that, or you getting some type of legislation? No, you are not an illegal immigrant. I don't know what you think you're getting. So that's what he said. Let's continue. Find out exactly what else he vetoed. He continues to say, okay, so the whole college thing, he vetoed that. Another would have required the state to investigate claims. This one is kind of important, everyone. This one is important. It says another would have required the state to investigate claims from families who say their property was taken by the government unjustly on the basis of race through eminent domain. So kind of like Bruce's Beach in California. This is like, and this is a very important one because this established the reclaiming of property, you know, because in California in particular, Black people used to have property that is being stripped away from Black folk, the Black Californians, for generations now. And that prevents generations from being able to pass down to their children or to their grandchildren or to other family members. So that by you taking property, and when we say property, is not just houses. When we think of property, we have to think beyond just the house. A lot of times it means a house, but it can mean oftentimes it can mean a lot of times more than just the house. It could be acres of land. Bruce's Beach was more than just the house. Okay, that was a land, that was a property, that was a property on a beach that became prime real estate. All right, so it's more than just houses that they said, oh, that's going to be prime real estate in the future. Well, y'all Black ass can't have that, and then they took that from Black people. Okay, in California. So with the eminent domain, oh, we're going to turn this into public property. We're going to turn this into something else. This is what they've done, and it was unfairly done and targeted. Eminent domain was targeted towards the Black folk, foundational Black Americans in California, all around the country, but we're talking about California tonight. And there needs to be an investigation and potentially reclaiming or them relieving the property and giving it back to its rightful belongers. Gavin said, no. All that giving land back and property back, ooh, no, that's going to help them out too much. We ain't doing all that. We ain't doing that. Another one. Then he says, or then it says, I keep saying he says, then it says a third would have set aside 10% of the money from a loan program for first-time home buyers for descendants of enslaved people. Well, yeah, I will say this. They could have did better than 10%. Yeah, they could have did better than some 10% for first-time home buyers. Considering how expensive homes in California is, they could have this, and expensive California is in general. 10% could do a little bit better, but he said no to that. Imagine all of these things combined together, how beneficial it would have been, all of these things combined together. Gavin said, I see how beneficial all these things would be combined together. I know how beneficial it would be. So I'm saying no. I'm saying absolutely not. This is what he was saying. All right. Because he's standing on where he was last year. The reason why, and I'm going to tell you the reason why he signed anything whatsoever. The reason why Gavin Newsom signed anything at all this time is because last time his plan didn't work because of us. His plan didn't work because of us. Afro, what do you mean his plan didn't work because of us? Okay. Gonna do a little flashback. Remember, last year, they were drafting legislation. It was a long, big task force. It was a big task force that a lot of people showed up to. We're going to play some clips. We're going to jog people's memory about the task force in California last year. So, pull some clips up real quick. Because, you know, we stay with the receipts. We stay with the receipts now.
Much respect.
Reek, this was the task force, California. This was 2023, I think. It was 2020. Yeah, it was. I believe this was 2023, I believe.
Respect to all the brothers and sisters here in the Bay Area, first of all. I want to make 3 quick points about reparations and then let our other brothers and sisters speak. First thing, we have to understand we have to focus and keep the emphasis on it being lineage-based. The problem is we see a lot of trick bag language being mixed into it where it opens the floor for other groups to come in and undermine us. Reparations in the form of lineage-based compensation is not a compensation for racism. Let's be very clear. If we open the door to racism, Hispanics can come in, Asians can come in, Middle Eastern people can come in, it will become affirmative action again where we are left holding the crumbs and everybody else is holding the cake. So we have to focus on the lineage-based reparations. especially the agreement that our foundational Black American lineage accrued out here in California. In California, this was a state that allowed slavery. People say that this wasn't a slave state. There was informal slavery here. The only reason they made it a technicality to make slavery illegal in California, they didn't want the white wealthy slave owners back east coming here getting all the prime real estate. They had slavery out here. Our foundational Black American brothers and sisters and our ancestors were out here working enslaved. San Bernardino, California was a slave colony. There were slave colonies here around the Bay Area. We couldn't get out of slavery because they made it illegal for Black people to testify against white people. That's how they trick-bagged us up into slavery here. We have to be compensated for that. The second thing is we can't include all of these other groups with our reparations package. We hear a lot of Black and Native American. We hear a lot of Black and brown. That won't work either. All of these other groups, they've been compensated. Every single group besides foundational Black Americans has been compensated. White slave owners were compensated. White immigrants in the 1800s were compensated with the Homestead Act. Okay.
Thank you so much for your comments this morning. And next,
boy, he was cooking, wasn't he? Hold on, let's give a round of applause, y'all. First off, everybody, let's give a round of applause in the chat room. Let's give a round of applause because that's standing on lineage business. By definition, that is exactly what that is. Going up, showing up, being clear, being concise about what we need, who needs it, where it needs to go, why it's necessary. This is not what they expected to happen. They expected people to go up and start crying and talking about, guys, I just feel so sad and I just want to be happy. And they used to bully me and call me the N-word in school. And I just never felt good about myself. That's what they wanted Black people to do. Okay, because they're used to Black people not really having an outlet. And when Black people have an outlet, almost like, and this is not to be shady. This is not to be shady, but this is to tell the truth to fix the problem. If you guys have seen clips of in South Africa after apartheid ended and they did the whole apology thing, a lot, not all, but a lot of South Africans, most of South Africans, they went there and they were kind of just like, when they came to the apology thing, they were out there crying like, I just can't believe I've been mistreated and I just want to hug and I just want to feel loved. And that's what they wanted Black folk to do. Okay, in California, that's what they wanted Californians to do. But they, shout out to FBAs in California, showed up there and was just straight up on business, like just stone cold business, no tears, no, I want a hug, I want an apology, I want to feel good about myself, no, just belligerent ranting, oh, you crackers, you this, you that, none of that. Very clear, very concise, straight to the point. You had 2.5 or 3 minutes and you was able to, get your point across, and that was it. Okay, that was it. Now, you had some bad faith actors, of course, because they always put agents and plants there to start up incidents. So, of course, you had some of that go on. But for the most part, we was really, really standing on business there. And because of that, it really forced their hand to create a policy based off of legitimate reparations, based off of like a bureau discovering or having an investigation for freedmen to discover if you are a descendant of freedmen, which is FBA. Freedmen and FBA, they're the same thing. So it was like a freedmen's bureau so you can find out like your lineage. Okay, so everybody can verify their lineage, and then there was going to be monetary checks being cut. There was going to be a budget cut for the descendants of freedmen, FBA. What happened is that the Congressional Black Caucus of California decided, after the bill was already drafted, not to vote on the bill at all. They didn't even have the bill go to the floor. They waited last minute, the very last day they could vote on the bill before the bill was completely canceled. And they decided none of them decided to vote for the bill to even reach the floor. All right. And you have Black Californians, they was up there and they was talking about that, and they made a lot of noise. All right. And that went viral. And that was a really bad look for them. Show you guys that.
To bring the bills up now. These are their bills. They have their names on the bills. They killing their own bills because they scared of the government. Now, listen, they gonna see this and they gonna get mad at us. They killing their own bills, then they gonna get mad at us. They killing their own bills because they scared of the government. Okay? We don't care.
We need to
bring the goddamn bills up now.
The governor needs to understand that the world is watching California, and this is going to have a direct impact on your friend Kamala Harris, who's running for president. This is going to have a direct impact. So pull up the bills now, vote on them, and sign them.
Boy, was she right. Let me tell you that right now, boy. If words aging well was a thing, she would be in the dictionary. I'm telling, boy, was she 100% correct with that. Was going to have a bad pushback on Kamala Harris. That was, yeah, she was right about that because she lost terribly.
We've been waiting for over 400 years.
Yeah, no reparation, no vote. If you don't give us no reparation, you ain't getting no vote. Y'all gave the legal. Y'all gave a free health care with no pushback.
Give us the vote! 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 Give us the vote!
Now, people are asking, people are wondering, why didn't they vote? Like, what sense does it make to do all of this work, draft the bills, like review it and all of this stuff for you guys to literally be at the finish line and then not cross the finish line? Why would you guys do that? And I'm telling you guys, and we all knew it from the very beginning. I'm telling you guys, that was because of Gavin Newsom. Gavin Newsom expressed when the task force was going viral, Gavin Newsom expressed that he was not in support of monetary cash payments. He already expressed that. So he gave that wink, wink. He gave that head nod to the Congressional Black Caucus, if I could call them that. He gave the head nod to them like, hey, man, I don't know what you got to do, but I don't want these bills on my desk in the morning. I don't know what you got to do. And they understood the assignment. So they was all like, damn, we got to kind of like sit on this, because if the bills reach Gavin Newsom's desk, he's going to veto it. He was going to veto it, but he didn't want to have to veto it because that was going to be a real bad look for him. And Gavin Newsom, despite what he says, Gavin Newsom is still, trying to have a clear field for the presidency. This is, and I don't care what anybody says, Gavin Newsom is still trying to have a clear field, a clear shot, okay? And him vetoing the reparations bill, especially at that moment when everything was going viral, clips was getting millions of views left and right, it would have completely destroyed his career. So he plotted to say, hey, I will just sacrifice the Black Caucus and make them do it. But little did he know, we already was on him. Little did he know, we already knew it was him the whole time. So he didn't get away with it. Yeah, we see your puppets, but we know you're the puppet master. We know your fingers are wrapped around the strings, making them dance. So you didn't get away with it. The only thing you did was put your puppets on the hot seat. That's all you were able to get away with. So after that, there was like some slight apologies and stuff like that. They came out with like some apology as to why they didn't want to do it, and it was ridiculous, honestly. Let me show you. Hold on. If it comes up.
We begin our newscast tonight with a look at the various reparation bills now under consideration in Sacramento. As state lawmakers work to move these bills through the legislative process, some members of the Assembly and Senate are hoping to advance a package of proposed reparations for descendants of enslaved Black Americans. 17's Capitol correspondent Eitan Wallace looks at which bills have made it through so far and which failed to advance.
Well, it's been mixed results for reparations bills so far, but backers of the proposals tell me they believe they're off to a good start. A standing ovation in the state assembly after lawmakers voted 62-0 to advance a reparations bill calling on the state of California to publish a formal apology letter to descendants of enslaved Black Americans.
The most important thing is making sure we can get it out there.
South Los Angeles Assembly member Reggie Jones Sawyer authored the legislation. While he acknowledges California was never formally a slave state, he says since its inception in 1850, the state has implemented policies negatively impacting Black Californians to this day, noting California's first governor, Peter Burnett, was a slave owner from the South who openly called for creating a whites-only American West and helped put in place a law to send slaves back to the South if they fled.
A letter not only talking about California's complicity in chattel slavery, but making sure that California actually apologizes for what has happened. Not to make anyone feel guilty, but to serve as a healing document.
What? This is what we get. An apology letter. Not to make anybody feel guilty. No, we don't want to do that. We don't want anybody to feel guilty for it. But as a healing document. See, they think that we're like this very sorry and self-deprecating and low self-esteem Black folk who just want to be loved by white mommy and daddy, and we just want an apology. We just want to go along, to get along folk. They think we're that. They don't know who we are and what we stand for now. They really don't. Okay? Nobody is sitting up there like apologize. I don't see, when I see signs, because I've been at rallies, spoke at one, been at rallies for reparations. I see signs about cutting a check. I see signs about cash payments. I see signs about giving property back, land, all of this stuff. You know what I don't see? I'm gonna tell you what I don't see. Maybe y'all see it, but I don't see it. I've never seen it. I've never seen a sign saying that they need to apologize. I've never seen a sign where they said, "Hey, I demand an apology," in a formal letter. Okay, and then I want you to laminate that and put it on the wall, and then put a little lamp above it so we can see it at nighttime. I've never seen anybody argue that they want that they want a big framed apology for slavery. We don't want that. See, that's the difference between us and some other people. I gotta say, not even trying to throw shade. Not even trying to throw shade. But if you go to some other countries, they'll accept an apology. Over here, we don't accept no apology. We in cash maybe. I don't want no letter. Can I use this letter to buy something? Then I don't want it then. I don't want this letter. How much is this letter worth? Like paper. If I could take this letter and buy a house, then maybe I'll accept that. If this letter does what for me? Nothing. He was like, yeah, and then even that, he didn't even stand on the apology. He didn't even stand on the apology, not to make anybody feel guilty. I don't want the whites to feel bad, because their feelings matter when it comes to slavery that happened to us. Okay. So this is what happened. So leading up to today, we have the congressional blockers, all right, drafting more bills of legislation for reparations, but this time not nearly as potent and severe. This time they're drafting small little diet mini versions of reparations. What they're doing, small little things that, like, it's cool, but it's not really no big deal. But it's a little cool thing right there. And even some of that Gavin Newsom is saying no to. And Gavin Newsom was recently on a podcast called the Higher Learning Podcast, and I would show that to you guys, but I just don't see the need to do that. because on the Higher Learning podcast, they didn't bring up reparations. They did not bring up reparations on a Higher Learning podcast. But then they brought on this dude. Lord have mercy. They brought on this dude on the next episode. His name is Isaac Bryan. Isaac Bryan, and the jury's still out. We still digging into his lineage just to verify, just to make sure of everything, just to make sure. But he was on there on the learning thing, and we're talking about that now. And then they was asking him about his stance on reparations, or what's going on with reparations. I'm gonna pull that up. Okay, so here. Okay, this was it. Okay. Oh, here it is. Okay, here it is. Here it is. Let me get his big boy. Okay, hold on. Hold on. Acting a little slow, y'all. But y'all can hit that like button in the meantime. That's what y'all can do.
He should do. It'll outlive him. It allows for the work to continue beyond him. And so I think it was important for him to do that.
I'm gonna take it
but
back.
I will say you won't see me and it's crazy. I like this. You know why? Let me tell you who had to defend this case. And it's the same Department of Justice who helped anchor the reparations report to begin with. And so that's something I think we deserved, and I think we missed this opportunity.
Take it back.
You know, Blum's goal. I saw a tweet that you tweeted, and it is Twitter.
Come on now.
Every Sunday, I've been running over there at the Crenshaw Y. I want to shout out everybody at the Crenshaw Y. The run is fantastic. It's a great group of different characters at the Crenshaw Y that runs on Sunday morning.
Yeah.
You get a nice, when you start learning the backstories, you got dudes in there. It's like, I'm 22, I could still hoop. I'm putting one guy on there, putting them on with different colleges. Another dude is a ex-army, whatever. It's a great group of black men over there that's playing, and a couple of Hispanics and one white boy. There's one white boy out there.
But he's nice though.
But he can shoot. You got the big arcing shot. Nick May is my boy. Y'all hear me mention Nick on the pod all the time.
Yeah.
And he's one of the guys that runs the Crenshaw Y, and he's a mutual friend.
Absolutely.
But he's never connected us.
He hasn't. I'm a little disappointed.
What is Nick doing?
I don't know. He's busy. He's busy taking care of the community.
That's crazy.
That's a great answer.
Yeah.
Leave Nick alone. It's a friend. Man, to be Van's friend is tough. It's tough.
Because there's a standard.
It's tough.
Okay. There's a standard. Nick is my guy, like my brother. Like, I love Nick. Okay. I saw a tweet that you tweeted, and it is Twitter. You spoke directly to Gavin Newsom. Now, it wasn't based on anything that happened in our interview with Gavin Newsom, but it was based on legislation that he vetoed.
Yeah.
He vetoed 5 bills that spoke to reparative justice for Black Californians. And your tweet read, "The governor and I have done incredible work across many issue areas, but this is beyond disappointing, and we cannot stop pushing for what our people deserve, especially in this moment." What exactly did Gavin Newsom veto that made you send this tweet out?
For me, it was AB 7, a bill that would have allowed for colleges across California to consider if somebody is a descendant of American chattel slavery in the admissions process. It was a carefully crafted, thoughtful piece of legislation that would open us up to a broader conversation about exclusion in our institutions of higher learning.
Okay. Why is it so important?
It's so important because with the affirmative action rulings, with Prop 209, we know that Black students have been disproportionately impacted. We also know that our universities were built in many cases by slaves. I'm thinking of Georgetown and other universities who also were then barred from attending these universities. That's part of why we have such deep education gaps. Those education gaps, particularly in higher learning, lead to income and wealth gaps. So if you want to close the wealth gap, you want to put more money in our pockets, you got to let more people into these institutions of higher learning, particularly people who have been excluded, and that's the descendants of American chattel slavery.
Let me address that real quick. Let's break that down, because we got to break stuff down, y'all. We got to break stuff down. Of course we do. Y'all know that. Y'all know we got to break stuff down. Okay. All right. Break it down. No, that's not it. That's not it. Listen, and I want to say this for the record. I'm not no anti-college person. I'm not. You got a Black kid or a Black young adult black young man, black young woman who wants to go to college and get an education. That's good. I'm not no anti-college person, okay? Let's be honest though. Let's put everything into its proper context when it comes to college. That's great. You want to go to university, you want to get your education, you want to graduate, good. But the thing is that how that doesn't, these are things that they want to draft. These are things that Isaac wants, because these are things that really are not going to really help the overall community. Let's be honest. Come on, let's keep it a buck. College is not going to be the thing that closes the generational wealth gap. The wealth gap is widening not because black people are not graduating college. College is not the thing that's going to close the wealth gap. Come on, let's tell the truth about that. Let's put this into its proper perspective. Leaving high school, 18 years old, goes to college. It takes about 4 years for you to get your degree and leave college. After college, after the 4 years after you've entered college, after high school, you're just out of college. So let's assume, that's a big assumption, but let's assume that afterwards you get an internship or you do get a job in your field. It would take you still about, now that's 4 years. It would take you still a few, let's say about a good 3, 4, I would really say 5 years for your career to really start getting somewhere. You're not going to make no big buck right after college. You're not going to do that. Okay. We're not even counting for the college debt or whatever the case is. But let's say you do get a scholarship and you don't have to pay anything else. Let's say you do get a scholarship and you don't have to pay for anything. It's going to take you years right after college for you to start making any real money. It would take you a good decade or so for you to have paid your debts off, for you to start making any good money, for you to buy a house, for you to have anything. So from leaving high school, which would take 4 years after college, and then for you to get into a career, even being very gracious, say you were a super hard worker and you work like 90 hours a week or something like that, and your career is busting after 3 short years after college, with the 4 years plus the 3 years, that's 7 years for anything to get done. And I'm not no anti-college person, but let's do the math. Let's do the math. Can we afford that? Can we afford that? No. This is why they want to draft this, because this is something that we're not going to be seeing the benefit of until the next decade. The community itself, first off, it wouldn't even benefit the entire community. It would only benefit a segment of the community, but okay, good for them. But they wouldn't even be seeing the benefit of that until a good decade after leaving high school. Now, in the meantime, you guys are cutting checks out and you guys are drafting policies for illegal immigrants. They get money now. They get stuff now, right then and there, coming into the border, okay? Not even speaking English, not even have no job, not even have no license, not even have none of this stuff. They get stuff today. We got to wait for somebody to graduate college. And then here's the thing with that. And I'm not against it. I'm not against no college. But here's the thing with that. Then who's going to oversee if the legislation that you say college takes, they factor in your lineage? Cool. That's good. That's cool. But then who's going to actually oversee that? Who's going to actually make sure that that legislation is being properly applied? Who's going to do that? I mean, because there's still no guarantee that they have to let you in. It's just a law that says that they have to consider it. So it's still at their own discretion. Who's going to actually calculate and factor in? Is this going to be the thing that allows more people of the lineage to come into college? Because that's what affirmative action was supposed to be. And we saw how that worked out. But this is what he wants. This small little diet reparations that we might see some slight benefit from a decade into the future. For the ones who want to go back, for the ones who want to go to college. Because let's be honest, how many black people in California are trying to go to college? And I'm not talking about people who are just leaving high school. I'm talking about folks in their 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s. How many of y'all want to go back to college? Okay. I just wanted to, how many of us wants to go back to college? I'm not against that being a fact. I'm not against that. I'm cool with it. I think that's cool. I would like to see that. I don't want that off the table. But if you give me that, it's like you going to a nice 5-star restaurant. They might give you some bread and butter. Cool. Hey, I like the bread and butter. That's cool. That's nice. But I'm not going to the 5-star restaurant for no bread and butter. If you put bread and butter on the table, you put some chips and salsa on the table, yeah, I'm going to eat it. I'm expecting you to bring the real food, though. I'm expecting you to bring the steak, though. I'm expecting you to bring the lobster or whatever else fancy thing that you guys cook. I'm expecting you to bring the real food. I'm not expecting the bread and butter to be the actual main course. These bread and butter, if you could even call it that, policies, is something we supposed to be satisfied with, something we supposed to be fooled with. Fooled with. No. Let's continue, though. Oh.
What would you say to people who, like, so critics to that bill particularly, who said, well, this wouldn't have been able to, the reason it was vetoed is because it wouldn't be able to withstand the 2023 Supreme Court decision on affirmative action?
I say bring it. We knew we had that ahead of time. That's why the California Black Lawyers Association stepped all the way in the paint with us on this. We had constitutional scholars lined up across the country because Clarence Thomas, who's no friend of mine and no friend of ours probably, said in his affirmative opinion of that affirmative action case that if this was about freedmen, if this was about American chattel slavery, it would on its face be race neutral, which is part of the language we lean into while we're leaning into the legacy of harm. We're leaning into a lineage-based form of repair and not a racial proxy. If you're going to take us to court, I think that's the kind of court case that black folks deserve. Remember, folks didn't want to see Brown versus Board of Education either.
Right. So you're ready for the court case. You're ready
for the court case.
And
We deserved it.
And you expect that challenge.
I would have expected that challenge immediately. In
right.
fact, Ed Blum, who funded the affirmative action case, was saying from the second I introduced this bill, I'm going to sue on it. And we just sitting over here, bring it. In fact, it would be the California Department of Justice who had to defend this case. And it's the same Department of Justice who helped anchor the reparations report to begin with. And so that's something I think we deserved, and I think we missed this opportunity.
You know, Blum's goal is to get these things to the Supreme Court. If that's his goal is to get it on a home field so that then the Supreme Court can render a decision that's been favorable to him in other fights that he's taken up, you know, Students for Fair Admissions, all of that stuff like that. If it had gotten to the Supreme Court, do you think that you could have won the case?
You know, I'm not sure,
right?
But I think we deserve that chance and we deserve that fight. The Supreme Court has tripped us up before with some decisions that were actually favorable, right? Remember, Obamacare went to the Supreme Court and Justice Roberts was the swing, a Bush appointee. And so I think we're a little more imbalanced than we were then now, but we definitely deserve that conversation. And if they were going to shoot it down, then we needed to be very clear that the Republican Supreme Court, many appointed by President Donald Trump, just shot down any idea that descendants of American slavery should be given any preferential treatment or any type of resources. So folks, quit getting confused about who's fighting for us and who's not fighting for us, because we got a lot of Trump supporters who believe that's the pathway to reparations, and it's crazy.
I like this, you know.
All right, let me address that as well too. Let's get that out the way. Let's get that out the way, because a lot of people are talking about the Supreme Court right now, and the Supreme Court is working on, or there's a strong possibility that they might get rid of the Section 2 in the Voting Rights Act. And the Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act essentially is for the protection to make sure that there are no policies, no loophole policies that really disenfranchise black voters, like no redistricting or things that would lessen the impact of the vote of black people. Okay. And that and affirmative action and all of these policies, you're seeing the Supreme Court pretty much get rid of all of that stuff, and people are pulling their hair out. Now, here's the thing. If they would have said, you know what, instead of having things about race, you guys need to make things, because really it's not about race. Let's be honest. The history is not about that in particular. It is a little bit, but not really. If you guys was to make things about lineage, if you guys was to say this policy is to protect a specific ethnic group that has been historically and currently disenfranchised in this country, you guys would have more protection. But because they're looking at everything and they're looking at things from a constitutional point of view, they're saying, well, if it's race-based, we could get rid of it. But if you guys, because they don't want to do it, but if you guys made it say, you know what, we need to reframe this and make it lineage based, that creates a guard and that creates a protection around all of these policies. And then you don't have Ed Bloom. Ed Bloom is only able to do what he's able to do because these people don't want to draft legislation that's about lineage. Do you understand? They don't want to draft legislation for foundational Black Americans. They want foundational Black American plight to be the basis of everybody's benefit. And that's why Ed Bloom and the Supreme Court is able to knock everything down, because they refuse to make things lineage based. The second they do that, they create this barrier or this shield, and they can keep the legislation where it is. They can progress the legislation, but they can't do that because they want to all lives matter everything. And now nothing is working. Lineage is the solution to all of this stuff. It is. It's not complicated. It's not rocket science. But if they don't want to do it, then nothing's going to work. So I wanted to say that because they bring that up, and then they're going to go back to, I guess, talking about reparations. Actually, hold on. Let's get to the super chat real quick. Dakota's Jenkins, shout out to Dakota Jenkins. I appreciate you, brother. Thank you very much for that. He says, when Democrats talk to other groups, it's tangibles and resources. With FBAs, it's a study, dancing, and bathtub collard greens. No more games. FBA, yeah, that's true. FBA, yes, yes, indeed. With us, it's all like, well, you know what? 10, 15, 20, maybe 30 years from now, you guys will have a little something that can close the wealth gap. No. Y'all giving them money straight off the damn bus. And y'all telling us, well, you know, when your little daughter, when she graduates high school, we'll make a heavy suggestion for her to go to college. How about that? I think that's cool. Damn, you just gave Javier $2,000 worth of food stamps. Don't worry about him. Just worry about your 7-year-old daughter who, you know, in the next 10 years, she gets to go to college for cheaper than she probably would have. That's what we get told. But you got to make sure you vote for us. That's what we get told. Marcus says they can apologize to their mama, but I need cash. Oh yeah, we need that money. If you need that money, if you don't want an apology and you need the cash, put the cash bag emoji in the chat room. Put the money bag emoji in the chat room. If you want cash and not an apology letter, okay, for a healing document, put the money bag emoji in the chat room. I want to do a little survey real quick to see how many people actually prefer cash instead of an apology letter. Let's find that out. Shout out to the super chats. I appreciate that. Let me also get you the cash apps as well too, because we have Walter Wilborn. Walter, oh boy, what did I say? My bad, said the whole name. Walter, shout out to Walter, and shout out to Latrivia. I appreciate that. All right. Let's get to the thing. Let's get back to it.
Why? Let me tell you why. A lesson from my father. My dad was coaching us in basketball, which is a terrible thing. My father didn't know anything about basketball, right? But my father's coaching us for basketball, and there's a defender that's in conflict. And I remember my friend goes, well, if I leave my guy, then he's going to make the pass.
Right.
And when he makes the pass, that guy's going to score. So I'm on my guy. My dad was like, make him make the pass.
Right.
Put him in conflict. You're in conflict.
Mm-hmm.
Put him in conflict. Make him do the thing. And if you make him do the thing, he might fuck it up. He might make a mistake, whatever, but make him do the toughest thing.
Mm-hmm.
I always think about that because sometimes whatever the odds are,
right,
it's about putting whatever's against you in conflict.
That's right.
Putting it on Front Street, making them off balance, and getting that case in front of the Supreme Court, if for no other reason than to show Americans that there is a part of this country that does not want to see reparative justice,
right,
or restorative justice, should I say, would have been a very important thing. I'll ask you a broader question about Governor Newsom.
Yeah.
Has he been an ally in the fight for reparations in California?
I think he's been an ally to Black people. I think the fight for reparations is complex, and I think it's evolving. California is definitely at the forefront. I mean, we have other states that won't even explore a task force.
Now, do you see that? He's been a quote unquote ally to Black people, but the conversation of reparations is complex. No, it's not. No, it's not. No, it's not. You still showing you got strings on you, boy. You still showing that. I'm saying boy because he probably called you that. Reparations is not complicated. This is not rocket science. This is not, I don't know how we're going to do it. How is it complicated for us, but it's never complicated for nobody else? It's not complicated for the Japanese. It's not complicated for the red Native Americans. It's not complicated for immigrants, illegal immigrants. How is it complicated for us? Oh, he is in support of Black people. He's a supporter. He's an ally to the Black community. But reparations, that's just, it's complicated. No, the dude is vetoing everything. Y'all the ones drafting the bills, doing the studies, drafting the bills. All he got to do is sign his name, and he's saying no. And you saying, well, he's still an ally. It's just kind of complicated. What's complicated about signing a bill? How is that complicated? And this is still him acting like, well, Master, we still love Master. Master's still an ally. Let's get him. Let's get him. Okay, then he goes into his splaining, Master loving splaining. Here we go.
Right. So not only have we explored a task force, we've established a formal agency in the state. Both of those happened under the governor. He's done some other things that have been very beneficial to our folks, whether it's on the criminal legal front. I mean, even this year, he put $10 million in ongoing money with me to increase the wages of incarcerated firefighters. He ended the use of...
That's not Black. That's not Black. Watch this stuff. Yeah, he put that money into incarcerated firefighters. First off, what does that do? And that's not bad, but what does that do for the lineage? What does that do to help the lineage as a collective? Okay. See, they don't mind doing this little diet reparation, these light little reparations that might help one or two Black people, but doesn't help the collective. My thing is this, and this is how we need to be moving going forward. If it's something that the collective cannot benefit from, then we're not going to take that much stake into it. We're not going to put that much credit on it. If it helps a few Black people, hey, I'm not mad at it, but you're not going to sit up there and act like we should give you all of these brownie points for something that happened to have helped a few Black people. We're not doing that. No. And this is what they like to do. They be all like, well, no, there was a policy and it helped Chris and it helped Michael over here. So, I mean, he's an ally. No, because you have hundreds of thousands of Black people who have not received or are not benefiting from that legislation. He's vetoing reparations and you still trying to make the case. You are playing defense, acting like he's some type of ally, giving these all lives matter policies. He's an ally. He did this one time and this one time and this one time. Look, you're not no ally if you veto reparations. Point blank, period. Point blank, period. Here he goes.
Police deals where they sign away their misconduct agreements when they get fired so that you can't look up the bad shit that they did. He has been an ally on many fronts, but I think on this one, we saw 50-50 at the end of this session, right?
Why?
Because 10 bills hit the desk and you only signed 5 of them. Back when I was in school, 50-50 is an F. And I think, I think in this case, some failures were made, but I think he's got another year in office and, I think we all continue to grow and push forward. And I'm still optimistic that we can do more work next year.
So Governor Gavin Newsom came on this.
You're still optimistic that we can still do more work next year. Dude, Gavin Newsom has been stalling reparations the whole time. The entire time, Gavin Newsom has been stalling reparations. Gavin Newsom is the reason y'all didn't put the reparations bills on the floor last year, and Gavin Newsom is the one vetoing the reparations bills this year. So you expect Gavin Newsom to have a huge change of heart next year. You're saying next year is that's it. Next year, not the year before, not this year, but next year, Gavin Newsom's, he's really going to do it. In the meantime, Gavin Newsom doesn't mind signing any type of legislation when it comes to immigrants, when it comes to illegals, when it comes to everybody else and their mama. It's not quote unquote complex. It's not complex then. But now when it comes to reparations, then It's complex now. It's a little complicated, but he's still an ally. Now, I want you guys to keep this in perspective. If it was a Republican who vetoed reparations bills, if it was a Republican, if Gavin Newsom was a Republican and Isaac was still on the Black Caucus thing, he would be all like, yeah, you see, because Republicans don't want reparations. It would be all of them. The whole DNC would be blasting him, rightfully so. In that case, they would be highlighting that the Republicans don't support reparations. They would be like, they don't support reparations. He's vetoing reparations. He's racist. He's racist. That's what they would be saying. If this was Donald Trump, who vetoed reparations, and nobody's saying that Donald Trump is in support of reparations, because some Democrats should be like, Donald Trump don't like it either. Nobody's saying he does, dude. Be quiet. Getting back to it, though. If this was Gavin Newsom, but if this was Donald Trump, if this was J.D. Vance, okay? If this was Ron DeSantis, if this was a Republican who did the same exact thing that Gavin Newsom is doing, they would be saying this is because he does not support reparations. He does not support black people. And this is a sign of his racism. This is what they all would be saying. But now he's sitting up there explaining for his massa, saying, well, you know, he's done this with the police, and he's done this with firefighters, and he's done this with a lot of other stuff. I don't know why he didn't vote for the reparations bill, but he's still a good man. I love him. I love him so much. I do. I really do. That's him, because he's a Democrat, and he's got his hand up your rear like a puppet.
Podcast, and he spoke passionately about reparations and what he's done for the Black community. And he said that he signed a bill, and that was an announcement. It wasn't known yet, and a lot of people were circulating that clip around and praising Gavin Newsom for what he's done with reparations in the state of California. But then it quickly came out that he vetoed 5 other bills.
Right.
Why do you think he passed SB 518 and then vetoed the 5 others?
I don't know why he vetoed the 5 others.
Okay.
Right. I know there's a lot of people advising the governor on a number of different things. I reached out to him directly on AB 7. So I know he was thinking about it, and there was deep consideration. But I think he also knew we have to establish a formal agency in California. That's something that he can do, he should do. It'll outlive him. It allows for the work to continue beyond him. And so I think it was important for him to do that. But I will say, you won't see me in any of the photos of that bill signing, because I couldn't get back fast enough, because I was actually leading a delegation of 20 legislators down to Selma, Alabama. We were at Brian Stevenson's lynching memorial. Right now, I remember getting the call that he's signing this tomorrow. It won't be public if you want to come back, to be in the photo op. And I was like, I'm actually here doing this deep history dive with a number of my colleagues, many who are not Black, and having this deep learning experience. And as I'm walking through, I'm like, and there's no way he's going to not sign the other ones, right? And a few days later, I was a little bit surprised.
So for people listening to this, I think, if I'll cut to the chase, if we take everything else out that we might have issues with the governor on, or any political official, politician on, and we boil it down to one issue, what we want to know from people is whether or not they are supportive of reparations, supportive of restorative justice, or whether or not there's something that they are stubbing their toe on before they get to the finish line on it. I'm going to talk about Westmore, Maryland in a second. I don't know how much you know about that situation, but as someone here who has done a lot of the work, a lot of the political work, I know, of course, there's activist work and all kinds of other stuff. I guess the question is, do you count the governor as an ally in reparations and restorative justice? Do you count him as an ally? Or was this such a setback that you have reassessed your relationship with him on this particular issue?
I count the governor as an ally. I count the governor as a friend. I know he's got a good heart and good intentions. I think he made a political miscalculation on this one. I'll stand by that. I would tell him that. But I think...
I count the governor as an ally. I count the governor as a friend. I know he has a good heart. Oh, brother, give me a break. Lord have mercy. This ass kissing is just too much for me. This is just too much. He vetoed half the bills. It's not like 1 or 2, maybe. Y'all draft 10 and he vetoed half. What? And you say he's still a good man. And I love him. I love him. He got a good heart. Yeah, no, he do support reparations. I mean, he said no, but I think if he asks again next time when he in a better mood, he gonna say yes that time. He said no the time before and this time, but next time we got him though. Really? And these are your quote unquote black representatives. These are your black representatives. He got a good heart. He nice, got a good smile. He give good hugs. Sitting up there explaining. Just this is some Massa loving. Massa's we sick, man. I love that Massa good. He good to me. He give me food and water and stuff, and pat me on my bald head sometimes. It's pathetic. This is pathetic. He is an ally. Why did he say no if he's an ally? Now let's let him explain that.
I know him well enough to know that he wants to make a positive difference for all people and black people.
Then why didn't he?
I know. That's the question I'm having too. But I know what the ops look like. Let's just be clear about that. I know what the ops look like.
Tell us about that. Okay, because listen, the reason why, tell us about that, because for me, a guy who is not, and listen, we've talked about this before, not entrenched in the middle of the political process, right? People say this all the time, you know, we're idealists, we're leftists who don't understand the way government works. I had somebody on Twitter say that, you know, I didn't know civics, and I understand civics and the way that it works. But what I want to know is that I can count on people to do specific and certain things. Okay. So when you say you know what the ops look like, you're talking about from a political framework, a political sense, right? What does an op look like? And if an op is not someone who doesn't sign the bill to get you the thing that you want, then what is an op?
Thank you. Thank you. First off, thank you. That's a good question. Here's the thing with Van, though. Can we tell the truth with Van? Van, about a week ago, you had Gavin Newsom on your podcast, and you didn't bring up reparations when Gavin Newsom was there. He didn't bring reparations up then. He didn't bring reparations up before. He didn't ask his stance then. But you're going to bring up Isaac and ask Isaac about Gavin Newsom's stance on reparations. But when Gavin Newsom is actually sitting there where Isaac was sitting, you didn't bring it up. So, Van, come on, what are you doing at that? We got to tell the truth about that, dude. Because if you're going to stand on it, if you're going to hold it down all the way. Stand on it for real. But I'm not even saying you shouldn't get on Isaac for his bootlicking ass. I'm not saying that. But I'm saying that when Gavin is in the room, you want to talk about every other subject, about every other group of people. Now y'all talking about ICE and y'all talking about the Supreme Court and y'all talking about this, y'all talking about that. You don't bring up reparations to Gavin Newsom. And then when Isaac is there, now you want him to speak on behalf of Gavin Newsom. Why did you do that? Why did you miss your chance, huh? Why did you miss your chance to talk to Gavin Newsom? We could have had Gavin Newsom's stance on the record. His stance could have been on the record, on your very podcast, if you would have asked him when he was there, but you didn't do that. Why? Why didn't you do that, huh? Why didn't you do that? I want to know. Why didn't you do that? So, yeah, I mean, yeah, you kind of, you know, I guess being a journalist at this point, but I'm like, it might be a little bit, and we got to be suspicious of this, y'all. Some of this stuff is a little bit performative because we do have to be aware of controlled opposition. Because these people will have the tough questions. Oh, the questions are tough. The questions are tough. These are tough questions from tough journalists who support reparations. They don't hold nothing back when it's safe. But then when they actually have the opportunity to push the line forward, they get all shy and coy and they don't want to say anything. You know. So, Van, all right. That was a good question, though. I ain't gonna lie, that was a good question. Let's see how he answers that question. Because if you're saying somebody supports reparations, and if they get the opportunity to sign off on it, they veto it, how are you saying they're in support? How is Gavin Newsom not an op to reparations if every single time he gets a chance to support it, he says no? How is he not an op to reparations if he's saying no every single chance he gets? You telling me he's in support of reparations? You know who everybody was saying was in support of reparations despite them saying no? We're gonna have to pause for a little bit. It was Kamala Harris. Do you guys remember how Kamala Harris blatantly said absolutely not, no, hell no? She said it with her whole chest, no to reparations. Remember that? Do y'all remember that? I mean, let's do a little review. Let's do a little.
The reality also is this: any policy that will benefit Black people will benefit all of society. Let's be clear about that. Let's really be clear about that. So I'm not going to sit here and say I'm going to do something that's only going to benefit Black people. No.
Guys, what state was she representing at the time? California. All of these damn politicians in California, whether that's Kamala Harris, whether that's Gavin Newsom, whether that's the Congressional Black Caucus of California, all of them will blatantly say no. None of them are for reparations. None of them. None of the Democrats from California are pro reparations. Not one. And they were saying the same thing last year. Oh, I know she said no, but she's still an ally to it. She still supports it, even though she blatantly said she doesn't. She still does. Y'all just misinterpreting her no. It really meant yes. That's what they were saying about her. And apparently, that's the same case with Gavin Newsom. Gavin Newsom keeps saying no, but we're just misinterpreting his no. It really means yes. That's what it really means. It really means yes. Okay. So we were just born yesterday, apparently.
I think ops can be significantly more dangerous than that.
Okay.
Right. And I think, like I said, with the governor, he signed some bills, right? He signed this bureau into law. He signed the task force into law. There's some movement there. The ops are trying to destabilize the entire movement. I'll give you an example when I call him by name. Bill Asaley, Republican, used to serve with me in the legislature. Some folks got confused by his rhetoric, by his maneuvering, and believed that he would be the one to deliver reparations for California, despite the fact that he would go on Fox News nightly and say that he believes it's unconstitutional. And he was just whipping folks up. He had the chair of the California task force sitting next to him in an interview, pumping this dude up. You know, he's the U.S. attorney now over Los Angeles, the one who's raiding our streets, the one who's locking up protesters. He said some of the most anti-Black things I've ever heard on the assembly floor, but he spun up a section of our community to believe that the Democrats were so bad and the Black bourgeoisie are so bad that we got to go over here. This is our pathway. And I think that's significantly more harmful and more destabilizing to the movement than somebody who makes the wrong political calculation one time and might seek to try to repair that in the future.
So I guess
it might see who makes the wrong political calculation one time. It wasn't one time because we know what happened last time. Okay. How often does he have to say no for us to recognize that he doesn't support it? It's a pattern at this point of him rejecting reparations. It's a pattern at this point. First off, the one time is the only time you need for me. Maybe that's just me personally, but all I need you to say is is no once. I don't need you to say no a few times for me to get the point. You say no one good time, I know it's a no for you. I know where you stand on it. Okay? Because you didn't say no any times when it came to all of these immigrants. You didn't say no once when it came to them. You don't say no once when it comes to drafting policies for the LGBTQA plus and AI plus R. You didn't say anything when it comes to anybody else. It's not complex. You don't say no one time, but when it comes to reparations, you got to say no a million times, and then it's still well, maybe next time. Maybe if we just be real good, if we real good next time. Yeah, I still love him. He's still a good man. He got a good heart. He got a bigger heart than me. Okay. What's the difference between somebody who will say no versus somebody who won't vote for it? Both of them refuse to vote for it. Just one person's being honest about it.
With him having such limited time in office.
Next year's a big year. It's gotta be.
And you've even referred to, we're past the window dressing in regards to reparations. Do you think that based on what you've seen so far and with the limited amount of time that he will ever make a full commitment to reparations, or will he continue to kind of thread the needle?
I tell you, I'm only on this podcast and I'm only talking about this because I expect some big things from the governor in this last year. The entire legislative Black Caucus does. I'm vice chair of the Black Caucus, right? There's 2 million Black people in California, the largest Black population west of the Mississippi. We need to see a final showing from the governor. And this agency was a big move. These 5 vetoes were also a big move. And so if we call this a wash, then let's close out strong next year.
Right. And part of putting your best foot forward politically is making sure that even
let's call this, if we call this a wash, let's finish strong next year. You make it seem like this is a game. How are you going to finish strong when the person that you're relying on to sign it, because it's not going to be a law unless he signs it, if he's saying no? It's not like y'all even have Republican opposition. The Republicans in California essentially don't matter, don't really have any representation. Their voice and opinion in California pretty much don't matter. This is all you. Y'all got a straight shot to the finish line, and the captain refused to go. Gavin Newsom, if he's the captain, he refuses to cross the finish line. Y'all making it seem like next time, and saying he wants to cross and he's refusing to. There's no opposition. Nobody's telling him no, but he's just not going because he doesn't want to.
People that you caucus with understand that they can do things that you don't fuck with. And if you don't fuck with them, you want to put the pressure on to make sure that they understand what delivering for you looks like.
But it's always, it's call in, not call out, which is why I'm gonna stand on the fact that the governor's a good man and he's got a good heart and he's not an op.
God, don't talk about his massa in front of him. He gonna ride for him. You got a crush on Gavin Newsom or something? What's going on, dude?
I'm just really disappointed right now.
Okay, fair enough. Let's move to a broader discussion of reparations and restorative justice and the assault that it's under right now. Okay. Are you familiar with the veto that Governor Wes Moore was involved in some time ago? Are you familiar with it?
I am.
What were your thoughts on it?
I think it's a very different situation in California.
Okay.
Right? California's never had a Black governor. If we had a Black governor who sets the budget priorities for the entire state and then revises them in May and then formally has to sign the budget, there's so much you can do. You almost don't have to have a task force. So I understand where Wes was coming from, but then you got to show up and step into that. But I think what he was trying to get ahead of was the confusion that arose from our task force and some of the things thereafter. Problem is, by vetoing that confusion started anyway. So in many ways, he was in a lose-lose no matter what. Also, you establish that task force, it might not complete its work until he's already out. So does he not move on, reparative justice or reparations until he leaves? Or does he say, you know what, squash this, let's do some stuff right now? And I believe he's put several $100 million into the budget directly to do some repair work and building on that, right? And we've seen that legacy in Tulsa and other places where if you've got the political will already ready to go, there's stuff that can happen. There were a number of recommendations, by the way, in the California Reparations Task Force that we were already pushing into law. There were laws that were already passed that matched recommendations from that task force report that even I wrote before it came out. Because some of us came into office with that repair mindset. That's why we ran, right? You know what I mean? We reparations type work, reparative justice type work, mitigating the harms impacting our community, trying to help folks who are struggling, especially Black folks. That's why we ran. And so, I think some of the politics around Governor Moore's decision overshadow the need to just do the work.
Now he's bringing up that tether, Wes Moore, the governor from the state of Maryland. And I was like, oh, he was in a lose-lose situation. They keep making it seem like reparations is some super complex thing that if you get it, like it's rocket science. Like if you mess up when it comes to the rocket fuel, the whole ship can blow up. That's why it's very complicated. Will this take off all the way? Will it take off halfway and then come crashing down onto the planet's surface? Will it blow up on Exodus to the moon? Like what's going? No, it's not. He could have easily signed off on the task force. And the thing is that his veto showed that he doesn't support reparations because he doesn't support lineage-based things. Then he said, okay, well, we can have some stuff for all lives matter and people of color. He recommended people of color policies. He didn't even recommend no lineage-based policies. He recommended people of color policies. So that shows that he doesn't want to sign off on anything that's only going to benefit FBA. He's going to sign off on things that can benefit everybody. But he, as far as it only benefiting FBA, no. No, we're not going there. We're not going to do that. Now, if it only benefited immigrants, then yeah, I can sign off on it. But if it only benefits FBA, then I don't know if I can do that. That seems like it's too complex for me to sign off on that. I don't know. I feel like I'm in a lose-lose situation. Now, I'm protecting illegal immigrants from the president of the United States. That's not a lose-lose situation, but me signing a reparations task force is a lose-lose situation. I lose if I do it, and I lose if I don't. That's a lose-lose situation. I can protect illegal gang members, illegal immigrant gang members in my community who's not supposed to be in the country. That's not a lose-lose situation. I want you guys to really wrap your head around the fact that he said signing off on a reparations task force, just the task force, just the study, is a lose-lose situation. And yeah, we got to be more gracious to him. We got to give him a little bit more slack. Okay. Yeah. And that's because, truth be told, Wes Moore, he's trying to open the lane up for the presidency as well, too. He's trying to open up the lane for the presidency, too. And he knows the reparations is going to kill his shot when it comes to the other demographics, the anti-black demographics that he would need the votes from. So, of course, he doesn't want to do it. But he doesn't know that he completely killed his chances of the presidency or anything else when it comes to black folk, because we not letting that slide either. Now, going to this, yeah. Now Isaac, he's making he's out here just splaining. He's on a damn splaining tour, explaining why it's not working, explaining why reparations isn't working, or otherwise Gavin Newsom isn't passing reparations, right? That's what he's doing. But when it comes to immigrants, he's right on board. The black and brown unity. He's out there. There was this protest, the No King's Day protest thing that a lot of people went to because they don't like Donald Trump. So they went to a protest, a No King's Day protest, or, whatever. I guess it was something. But this is him. Black and brown unity on the front lines for him. I'm talking about this man is on the front lines. He's standing up for their rights. Now, when it comes to reparations, it's complex. He doesn't know how to do it. Nobody knows how to do it. When it comes to them, hey, look, he ain't playing no games when it comes to protecting his actual friends, his real buddies. He ain't playing no games, all right? This is him.
The federal building right now. David Huerta's arraignment started 3 minutes ago. They won't let us in. We've got people who are here with their papers for deportation cases that they were supposed to appear in person, and they won't let them in. The paper clearly says if you fail to appear and there was proof that you had notice, that you will be ordered removed from the United States. I'm looking at this man's paperwork right now. He can't get into the building. I can't get into the building. Other state elected officials can't get into the building. It's a public hearing. They're charging David Huerta right now in his arraignment, and we can't be here. The people are outside. We're demanding to get inside. At least labor is in the building. At least the people who have court hearings themselves. Like I said, I'm standing next to a brother right now. I'm not going to put him on camera. That's his business. I'm not going to put his name out there, but I'm looking at his paper. He has a hearing. They won't let him in for his hearing. This is Trump's America. That's the National Guard that he has radicalized in this moment. We deserve better.
Oh yeah, when it comes to immigrants, he don't play no games. Oh, he don't play no games. He shows his support loud and clear. Now, when it comes to reparations, it's complex. Let's just give it a little bit more time. He's a good man if he doesn't. Now, if Gavin Newsom, I want to ask y'all a question. If Gavin Newsom vetoed something for immigrants, do you still think that Isaac would be sitting up here saying that he just needs more time and let's try again next year? If he vetoed something, if Gavin Newsom vetoed something for illegal immigrants, now I know you guys are being all like, Afro, he would never, and I know he wouldn't, But let's just pretend that he didn't like immigrants the same way he doesn't like FBA. Let's just pretend that for a second, okay? Just for a second. If Gavin Newsom vetoed anything for illegal immigrants the way he vetoes reparations for foundational Black Americans, would Isaac sit up there be on podcast splaining, saying he's still a good man? I know his heart. It's a big heart. He's a real good man. I love him. I just think it's complex and he just made a mistake. Now I don't know if he'd be out there on the front line sitting up there caping for Gavin Newsom. Then not for no Black and brown. He'd do it when it comes to Black people. But as long as Gavin Newsom supporting not brown, supporting them Latinos, you know, which all of this Latino support, I don't know. Your paperwork is still pending, dude. That's all I'm gonna say. I don't know anything, can't confirm or deny anything, but I'm just saying. But y'all, let's talk about this King's Day protest. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about the King's Day protest. Okay. Do you guys know why the King's Day protest? Do you guys know why that? Because it was apparently a huge thing. It was a big deal. Let me show you guys some of these images. Let me look up some of the images of the King's Day protest, because the King's Day protest, or the No King's Day protest. It was a huge thing, and they said it was the biggest protest of all time. Okay, it was a super big protest. Do you guys honestly know why it didn't really pop off, despite what they're saying? They're saying, oh, it was millions of people out there. Let me show you guys this one thing. This is, please don't have no ad. Oh, it always has an ad. It always has an ad. Big thing. It didn't really hit. And there's been multiple No King's Day protests this year. There's been so many protests this year that the news blows up and tries to make it seem like it's the biggest thing of all time, and it doesn't hit. Nobody is talking about it. It happens one day and then the next day. Now, apparently this was some super huge, really, really big thing, but nobody cares. Hold on. Nobody cares about it. Let me show you guys this. Let me pull this up for you guys, because it was all over the nation too. And for something that's all over the nation, you would think would make a bigger impact, but I'm not really seeing no real big impact for real on this King's Day protest, or the no. I keep saying King's Day, No King's Day protest. Play. Come on now. What's going on? Okay, hold on. Okay. Okay, well, what's going on? Okay, this needs to stop. The whole thing froze. I don't know what's. Okay, hold on.
The city to the suburbs, massive crowds gathered in hopes of sending a message to the Trump administration.
All right, look, we ain't even gonna waste no time doing this. The thing tweaking. Thing don't want me to show you. But there was y'all see it, the No Kings, and there was a whole bunch of signs out there. Donald Trump, you're not a king. You're not a king. Nobody, we don't like you. Listen, this is why this stuff doesn't work. This stuff doesn't work because foundational Black Americans are really, if we're going to tell the truth, We're the only people who really have like a legitimate grievance with this country. We're the only people who live here who really have a legitimate grievance. Let me tell you guys why. The reason why is because everybody else immigrated to the country. That's the key thing, because it takes away from the legitimacy of your complaint if you guys came here willfully. You willfully came here. We're the people who actually built the country. We're the people who had to suffer from slavery and oppression and Jim Crow and black laws and convict leasing and the bombing of Tulsa, Oklahoma. We're the ones who that was forced upon us. None of the stuff that you guys are going through was forced upon you guys. Y'all came here because over here was better than where you guys were before. So you guys weren't forced to deal with anything. That's the thing. That's why all of y'all protest. You guys are relying on foundational Black Americans to show up, because we're the only people who can actually legitimize your protest. Because if we're not there, y'all protests are illegitimate. These are a bunch of large, super large, a lot of them are staged, but super large, illegitimate protests, which is why it doesn't get anything done. Because you guys don't really, you don't really have too much to complain about. Donald Trump is not a king. No, okay, he's not. He's the president. You're protesting for him not being a king. What does that mean? Notice how when we were out there with the George Floyd uprisings, we had specific demands. Just think about that. Notice that. We had specific things about, hey, the police have been getting away with doing this to our ethnic group since their inception. And it's been going on unpunished by the government that says that we are citizens and need to be treated equally as citizens, but we're treated as second-class citizens. That's a clear demand. These people are out here just because they have nothing better to do. They're out there because they just like to be seen. They're not. What is their demand? What was? Let's be honest. What was the demands made at the No King's Day protest? At any of them? Not one or two. At any of them. Donald Trump shouldn't be a king. Well, Donald Trump is not, nor has he ever been a king. That was your demand? That he's not a king? What are y'all doing? Besides just saying that you don't like Trump, we get that. This is why their protest doesn't do anything. Their protest doesn't move the needle, because they don't have really anything to ask for. They don't have anything to really even complain, nothing legitimate really to even complain about. We're the only people whose grievances are actually legitimate in this country. And if we don't show up, it seems like they're out, well, not just seems like, they're out there wasting their time. Because y'all don't have anything to complain about. You guys are not the oppressed. Y'all just out there making noise. And y'all been doing that all year long and nothing gets done. Notice how when we were out there after the George Floyd uprisings, when we were out there doing that, you actually saw police get arrested. You actually saw police get charged. You actually saw people draft legislation. You actually saw policies start changing. These protests, according to what they say, are much bigger, and you're not seeing any progress get made. Nothing. And nothing is being done. No progress is being made. The needle is not being pushed forward because we're not there. I'm not there and you're not there. That's why it's not happening. Because in order for anything to happen, we got to be there. And if we're not there, people don't care. If we don't show up, it doesn't matter. That's the way the country sees it. That's the way the world sees it, because that's the way it is. If we're not there, people don't care. It doesn't matter. Now, speaking of which, I also want to bring up a couple of other things with that. I need the internet to stop tripping on me. That's what I need the internet to stop doing. It's tripping on me. It was. Okay, hold on. with the No King's Day protest, of course, you had Brandon Johnson out there, and he was saying a whole bunch of nothing. And I want to show you guys that, you know, because that's going to segue me to another point I want to make. Let's pull this up. Because, boy, he was out there. And, you know, Brandon Johnson, he's trying to make himself out to be like the next Dr. King. He's trying to do that so much. If this don't start acting the way it's supposed to be acting, come on. Oh, okay. All right, here we go.
Ancestors as slaves can lead the greatest general strike in the history of this country. If my ancestors as slaves
and now notice though, notice the fact that we keep getting on Brandon Johnson about the fact that a word on the street is you're Haitian. Okay. And he keeps my ancestors as slaves. Brandon is bringing that up all of the time now. Do you guys notice that? Now, he's not saying exactly where his ancestors are from because slavery was not just in America. He's not specifying where his ancestors are from, but he keeps bringing up the fact that they were slaves. He's bringing up the fact that they were slaves, but he's not telling that he just, all you got to do is clear that up, but he's not doing that. Okay. Just notice.
The greatest general strike in the history of this country, taking it to the ultra rich and big corporations. We can do the same today. I'm calling on black people, white people, brown people, Asian people, immigrants, gay people from around this country to stand up against tyranny.
Whoa, boy. Oh, and this is why. This, man, do you see that? First off, look at that crowd. I don't see a melanated face in the crowd. That crowd looked pale as hell, okay? As my brother Torian would say, that crowd is PC. That crowd is full of palm-colored folk up in there. Ain't no melanin to be seen in that crowd. The people look damn near as white as their boards in that crowd. You don't see a single, ain't a single FBA seen in that crowd. Ain't no melanin. No melanin at all. The crowd full of people. Ain't nothing melanated in that crowd. And then here comes Brandon Johnson talking about brown people, white people, Asian people, gay people, straight people, short people, tall people, rich people, poor people, old people, young. I mean, he just goes on and on with these all lives matter things. Trying to be a Dr. King. He don't have this much energy when it comes to actually doing stuff for black people. Now, all of the other people that he mentioned, he wouldn't mind signing off no real legislation or no real policies for.
To the ultra rich and big corporations, we are going to make them pay their fair share in taxes to fund our schools, to fund jobs, to fund healthcare, to fund transportation. Democracy will live on because of this generation. Are you ready to take it to the courts and to the streets?
Basically are, right? When we're seeing just the depth of the attacks that are happening, trying to roll back all those gains that were won through past struggle, you know, that you were talking about. And they're not going to win. They're not going to do it. This crowd out here is showing why they're not going to do it.
It's our money. It's supposed to go to us. And so when we go on a general strike, we're basically saying we want our money to go back to us. We want our power to go back to us, not to these fascists.
Okay. You want your money to go back to you? Okay. All right. And you see the crowd full of people and ain't nothing really getting done because nobody has no like actual legitimate demand. What does that mean? Okay, it's our money and we want it back to us. Okay, and the money's going to the fascists. You think Brandon Johnson gonna give y'all some money? I mean, you're not black, so of course he would give you some money. He's not. No. Y'all not even making sense. It just seems like you guys are mad and you guys are out there venting frustration, which, okay, that's cool. But if you guys are actually having a protest that you want something done from, then you guys have to make some type of demand, a legitimate demand. Your problem is that nothing is going to seem legitimate without the presence of foundational Black Americans. And unless we show up, nobody's going to hear you. Nobody cares. Your complaints are illegitimate because you bought it on yourself, because you immigrated here. And this is why, look, as foundational Black Americans, we couldn't go in mass to any country in the world and start making protests about how we're being mistreated, because the locals, the natives, they would look at us and be all like, y'all came here though. There's not too many complaints that we're willing to hear if you guys immigrated here. Anywhere else in the world, people who are foreigners really wouldn't have a right to complain. The natives would completely ignore the complaints of protests from foreigners. They would. We know they would because we see it. This is why without FBA at their protests, it doesn't matter. Y'all can have a billion people. There's not even a billion people in America, but y'all can have a billion people if y'all wanted to. If it's minus that 43, 44 million FBAs in the country, it's not gonna matter. It's not gonna matter unless we show up. I'm trying to tell y'all. Let me get to some more of these super chats. Okay. Okay. Darlene, appreciate you. Thank you very much for the super sticker. Mother Tree and Moon says, he said he's a good man, Savannah. Yeah, he said he's a good man. Oh Lord, he said he's a good man, Savannah. He is a good man. He a good man. He said, don't talk about Gavin Newsom. I love him. He good. He makes mistakes sometimes. Okay. This dude sounds like you know how in those Tyler Perry movies, that wife that gets beat up by her husband all the time, and then the family goes, why don't you leave him? He good. I know his heart. He just get angry sometimes. He just get. I shouldn't have bought. I just knew he had a long day at work, and I should have just made sure the chicken was warm when he came home. It's okay. I'm used to black eyes. He good. He a good. I still love him. Just give him some more time. He don't hit me as much, so maybe by this time next year he won't hit me at all. Just give him a chance. His dad wasn't really there. He didn't hug him or anything. I know you don't know. First, shut up. You don't even know him like that. I know him. Okay. All right. Okay. All right. I guess we don't know him like that. I guess you do though. He does. Okay. All right. And then Mother Tree and Moon again says Brandon Johnson is a AI robot with MLK Ultra. With that haircut, I can almost believe it. With that haircut. I mean, God. Now, speaking of Chicago, gotta remind you guys, I posted this on Twitter and it's kind of going viral. It's got over 250,000 views. This was the situation. Let me show you guys this. This off the screen. If you guys remember, we were talking about this.
Here.
This was Miss Jackson at the City Hall. And a lot of people are like, why is she up there? Why is she up there? Why were you guys up there? There was not a choice. They closed the second floor. For folks in the chat or in the comments who were trolling, why'd y'all say it behind the window though? Why'd y'all say it behind the window? It was either that or don't speak, because the second floor was closed. But okay, shows how little y'all know.
So, Mayor Brandon Johnson, look up here. Look up here. Look up here. You got a real South Shore resident of 63 years up here. Not no paid protester, not somebody that's paid with a 501c3. You got a real live South Shore resident at this mic. Now what you're going to do for the citizens of South Shore and the black people of Chicago, you're going to stop with all this fake black facade you're doing. You're going to stop that. Because first of all, you're going to deal with the fact that word on the street is you're a Haitian. And if that be the case, that explains a lot. But if you're not, we're going to dethrone this self-acclamation you gave yourself at that Black Caucus thing, where you said that you're the freest black man in America right now. I dare you insult black men like that.
All right. So I just wanted to show y'all that part. Shout out to Miss Jackson. Always standing on business. Appreciate Miss Jackson. Okay. Now getting back to it. Boy, when I posted that on Twitter, it's almost got like 300,000 views. I mean, that thing was blowing up. Thing was absolutely blowing up. Man, when I tell you the tethers were pissed off. Oh, they were so mad. They were mad. The tethers and the Democratic shields were mad about that. Okay, let me show y'all some of the comments. The fact that she called them out, let me show y'all. They out there, they was all mad. Look, okay, hold on. Look, in embarrassing shame, a Haitian found the damn city. Miss Jackson needs a effing nap. First off, that was a narrative, but there's really no solid confirmation that he was Haitian, that he immigrated from Haiti. His actual origin is still kind of unknown. And I already expressed that in the live stream. I already went through the history of that because, and I did that when it came to the origin of Chicago, that the reason why people assumed he was from Haiti was because of a white woman who said he was Haitian and then later recanted, saying she never actually met or spoke to him. She just said that. She was a known liar. All right. I'm not saying he is or isn't, but the evidence that he is came from a woman who was a white woman who's known to be a liar and admitted that she lied. And if the city was founded by a Haitian, what does that have to do today? What does that have to do with what's going on now, today? If it was, but oh boy, oh, they was mad. They were mad that she said that. She needs a nap. Okay, hold on. Okay. Word on the street is you're a Haitian. She thought she cooked too. Oh, okay. I'm telling you, oh, they was mad. They was mad. Let me show you this. Let's be honest. The FBA cult and adjacent thinking Black Americans are slowly turning America into a third world country. They have now caught the tribalism disease that plagues developing nations around the world. They are aware of themselves. They aren't aware of themselves. Stay tuned. Okay. So she's saying that, or this person is saying that now we're all being tribalistic. Okay. I'm telling y'all, the tethers was pissed off. They were mad. Oh man, they were so mad. Imagine insulting Africans for being tribalistic, but adopting tribalistic and ethnocentric behaviors. Brandon Johnson is a Black American man. Are you sure? Because he has not confirmed that. Brandon Johnson has not confirmed that. So how you gonna put that jacket on him? If Brandon Johnson ain't repping that jacket, how you gonna put it on him? I digress. Let's continue. He says Brandon Johnson is a Black American man with no immigrant or foreign ties. Okay, because he ain't confirmed that yet. Chicago was founded by a Haitian anyway. She should be honored if Brandon is actually Haitian. We should be honored now if Brandon Johnson is a Haitian. That we should be honored. Okay. Okay. Now there was some comments in support. And embarrassing coon nonsense. She don't know her master Trump want to put her dumb ass in chains. Okay. All right. I'm talking about they you see how mad these tethers are. They mad. Okay. I feel bad for people in her city that will follow her right into the racist hands. Kanye is also from Chicago. Hey, why are you throwing shots at Kanye? Kanye ain't got nothing to do with this. Kanye is also from the Chi. Hey, now you dissing Chicago. I'm gonna feel some type of way about that. You need to ease up. We don't play that. Okay, something in the water up there is effing y'all up. Oh, hey, you better make sure your location is off. That's all I know. Okay. Look, I'm talking about all of these. They pissed off. This lady and her rotten crypt keeper maggot sidekicks are losers. She's a victim of stupidity. And as a result of the racism in Chicago's education system, it's plenty of people from South Shore that aren't raccoons like this xenophobic nutter. Hate that she got access to the mic. Ooh, boy, they mad. They are so mad. God. Okay. This person, as a person that's been in the military and well-versed in such studies and travel, never in my 43 years of life have I heard of a Haitian last name Johnson. It's hard to rock with y'all when you keep doing this dumb bull crap. Dumb crap. Okay. All right. I mean, boy. This lady is a Trump supporter spewing MAGA talking points. She is absolutely a member of Trump's poorly educated class that he loves. Okay, so it's a MAGA talking point that Brandon Johnson is Haitian? MAGA's not bringing that up. Okay? Supposed to keep this ignorant crap on social media. People not supposed to be walking around in public this dumb. Okay. I'm talking about they are mad. They was triggered. They are triggered. Oh, this is xenophobic. This is tribalistic. No. It's not. No, it's not. It's not tribalistic. No. But let's be honest and tell the truth for what it is when it comes to political representation. Everybody knows your background matters. When it comes to that, your background is going to determine how you view things and therefore what you draft in policy, what you advocate for, what you push for. Yes, your background does matter. If he is Haitian, then the background of him being Haitian does actually matter. Yes, it does. And they're sitting up there gaslighting and playing obtuse and acting dumb, making it seem like, well, what would it matter if he's Haitian anyway? If I went to Haiti as a foundational Black American, could I be anything in Haiti? No. And it's not because of the government. It's because the people wouldn't allow my Black American ass to be anything. They wouldn't allow me to be a damn thing. Okay? Except somebody who's a citizen there. As far as an elected official who gets to dictate policies for the collective group, I wouldn't be able to do anything there because I'm not Haitian. And that's the way it should be. Okay? Let's be honest. That's the way it is. We have been so welcoming. We've allowed people who come in and they will literally burn the American flag in protest of another nation. Elected officials doing this. Elected officials in America that will openly denounce America and declare their loyalty to another nation, to another group of people. This is what we have in America today. We have people in America today who will literally allow immigrants to become the priority, who allow people to become the priority. So if you are an immigrant, that does matter. Yes, it does. It 100% does. The same way it would matter if I went to your homeland. Don't play that dumb, that's MAGA talking point. Everything that goes against pretty much immigrants being in control of foundational Black Americans is a MAGA talking point. If we're saying, hey, we should be the ones in control of our own representation, political representation, we should be the ones in control of our own neighborhoods. They be all, man, that sounds like a MAGA talking point thing. That sounds like MAGA. When has Donald Trump ever said that? When has Donald Trump ever alluded to Brandon Johnson being a Haitian? When has any MAGA or Republican alluded to Donald Trump being a Haitian? Donald Trump don't care if Brandon Johnson's a Haitian or not. That's not his issue with Brandon Johnson. None of them care. We're the ones, because we're the grassroots. We care because we understand that that matters now. It matters because if he is, then that explains why he prioritizes immigrants. If and this is why they would not allow me in Haiti to become an elected official of anything. Because if I get there with my American background, they're going to be all like, well, you're going to prioritize what's in the best interest of Americans. And because we're Haitians, we don't want that to happen. So you can't get in that position. And now we have immigrants who are in elected officials who are doing what's in the best interest of immigrants. Westmore, Sheila Jackson, okay? All of these other groups of people, Obama, Kamala, all of these people who are doing what's in the best interest of immigrants, openly doing what's in the best interest of immigrants while refusing to do what's in the best interest of foundational Black Americans. So now we're saying, hey, we gotta stop all that. There needs to be order. We need to do things the right way. So if he is Haitian, because he's the one, and let's be honest, people be all like, what does it matter if he's Haitian? What does it matter if he's Haitian? Brandon Johnson is the one making it a big damn deal. Oh, no. You're not going to put that on Miss Jackson. You're not going to put that on us like we're the ones tripping. Brandon Johnson, every time he gets in front of a microphone, he keeps bringing up he's a descendant of slavery and his ancestors were slaves and his ancestors were this and his ancestors. Brandon Johnson is the one who keeps announcing that. He keeps invoking his ancestors being descendants of slaves. So if that's the case, all we're asking is where? Because Brandon, you can't bring that up. He's bringing that up so he can have more legitimacy. And all we're saying is, oh, no, you're not going to use our plight as the descendants of American chattel slavery to give you a boost if you're not actually from the lineage. So we're saying, hey, you need to specify. You can't just say slavery because automatically people are going to assume American slavery if you're not actually a descendant of American slavery. Brandon Johnson's the one who keeps making it a big deal. So the fact that we bring it up, he's Haitian, that's because his ass keeps bringing it up. He keeps bringing up, I'm a descendant of slavery. I'm a descendant of slavery. My ancestors were slaves. We're all descendants of slavery. No, he keeps bringing it up. So because he brought it up, now it's time for us to get specific. Now it's time for us to be all like, okay, from where though? And you had a whole bunch of tethers because tethers are now realizing that their avenue of becoming elected officials is dead. It's over with. Oh, that's over with now. We're not allowing that to happen. No, that's over with. Oh, that's big time. That's over with. They're mad because they're starting to see, and they're looking at all of the views catching on like, hey, yeah, all of these immigrants, y'all getting into elected official, y'all getting to an elected position, okay? And we're acting like we don't care about your lineage, and lineage doesn't matter. And you should be able to get in there and then dictate policies for the rest of us is over with. That's why they want to call it MAGA, because they want this to get shut down. This ain't MAGA. This is grassroots, baby. This is grassroots. This is not no MAGA. And MAGA, Donald Trump, Republicans, they ain't got nothing to do with this. They have absolutely nothing to do with this. This is all 100% legitimate grassroots. Because we, as the people, are saying, hey, no, we need to have 100% control of the steering wheel going forward. 100%. We've allowed everybody and their mama to come in and say, hey, I'm kind of a people of color too, so let me put my hand on the steering wheel. We say, hey, all of that's over with. All of that is over with. We need to have 100% control of the steering wheel for our lineage going forward. The same way y'all will want that for y'all lineage, we're demanding that for our lineage. And that's just the way it is. That's just the way it's going to be. Y'all can dislike it all y'all want to. It's not going back. It's not changing. And they're mad at Miss Jackson because her announcement there and the support that she was getting from the community shows to them that, oh yeah, they're not allowing us, except they're not allowing us to grab the steering wheel anymore. When she said, hey, word on the street is you're Haitian, they're saying that like, oh damn, not being FBA is a problem now. Not so I can't grab the steering wheel under the guise of Black unity. Yeah. Her announcing, her saying that, hey, word on the street is you're Haitian, and if that is the case, that explains a lot. Her saying that lets it be known that, oh yeah, we're establishing a pecking order in the country. Politically, we're establishing a political representation pecking order. That's what we're establishing, of who gets to dictate where the lineage and where the community goes, who gets to be in charge of our future. That's what we're establishing. Okay, we're getting everybody out the room and vetting everybody who gets to come back in. That's what we're establishing. That's what they're picking up on, and that's what they fear. All of this stuff of them being mad and trolling. Oh, she dumb. She don't know what she's talking about. That's them being afraid. They're afraid. They're fearful. They're terrified. They're afraid. Let them be that. Let them be afraid. Change is scary, but change is necessary. Let change come. Let change come. Let them be afraid. Let them be afraid. It's going to get scary for them. Let them be afraid. We're establishing the order that is necessary for the protection of the group. This is not tribalism. Tribalism is this: we're a certain tribe and we don't like you because you're an outsider tribe. No, that's not tribalism. That's tribalism. What we're doing is not tribalistic. What we're doing is not xenophobic. No, it's not. What we're doing is saying, hey, if we want what's in our best interest, we need somebody from the family, essentially. Somebody from the family gets to dictate what goes on in the family. How many of us, we have family meetings all the time where, especially if there's an issue with the family, if we're trying to make a big decision, if you guys have a family business, if you guys are trying to plan a family vacation, a family reunion, any type of family trip, or whatever the case is, how many of us form group chats in the family? If we're all planning a family vacation, if we're all planning a family reunion, if there's a wedding going on, or even if there's a funeral going on, and we're all planning that, then we create a group chat and we only allow members of the family in the group chat. Is that xenophobic? Is that tribalistic? No. You got members of the family because this is family business. That don't mean we hate everybody else's family. That don't mean we wish bad on anybody else's family. We don't. Good for you. Go get it how you live. Good. I don't wish bad on nobody. We don't wish bad on nobody. But right now, we're on family business. We're on family business right now. Okay? So that means everybody in the group chat needs to be somebody in the family. We can't have the neighbor be in the group chat, even if the neighbor's really, really cool. Even if when we run out of sugar, we can go to the neighbor and we can get a cup or two, the neighbor still can't be in a group chat. Sorry. You can't be in this group chat. This is family only. I'm sorry, dude. Even if you are a really, really, really good friend of the family, you can't be in the chat. This is a family only chat. That means you got to have a certain last name to be in the chat. You got to be a part of the tree. You can't be the tree next to the tree. If you're not a part of this tree, not the forest, this tree, you can't be in the chat. And this is how we got to move forward, because this is the only way to get stuff done. It's the only way to get anything done. And we don't have to apologize for that. That's not xenophobic. That's not tribalistic. Because we wouldn't even do that to you guys. We wouldn't even do that to you guys. We wouldn't even go. We don't want to be in y'all family group chat. That's y'all business. If y'all got a trip, good for you guys. We want you guys to be successful. Good for y'all. We don't sit up there and gaslight and call y'all tribalistic or xenophobic for not letting us in y'all private family chat. We wouldn't do that to y'all. But we consistently get that from you guys to us. No, we're not doing that. No, y'all got y'all stuff. You say it's xenophobic. No, we're not saying that Brandon Johnson being Haitian is a problem. We're saying that you being Haitian and you taking that agenda and putting that into legislation. If Brandon Johnson was just some random dude on the street, who cares if he's Haitian? Who cares if he's Jamaican or African? If he's some random dude on the damn bus on the red line, that's the train in Chicago. If he's some dude on the red line, who would care? But yeah, you're the mayor. So yes, actually that matters. If you were some random dude at the gas station, you being Haitian wouldn't be a big deal. But you're the mayor. So yes, you being Haitian is a very big deal. Because that determines a lot for everybody. Yeah, when you're in an elected position, that determines a lot for everybody. So where you're from is a huge deal. Your background is a huge deal. If you were working at Walmart, I don't care. But if you're a mayor of one of the biggest cities in the country, that's a huge damn deal. Okay? That's not xenophobic. That's making sure that politically we are represented properly. Okay? We don't just trip on anybody being an immigrant. We really don't. We deal with immigrants all the time when we go to the store, when we go to work, just out in public. We deal with immigrants all the time. Okay. But as far as y'all being a part of elected positions, that changes everything. Yes, indeed. That changes everything. That's a huge deal. And we're not going to sit up here and act like it isn't. We're not going to sit up here and act like it shouldn't be a factor. It shouldn't be noticed or it shouldn't be spoken on. That's a huge deal because that can determine everything. And it oftentimes it really does. So don't all of this y'all xenophobic. No, we're not. No, we're not. Don't say that. Shit. Hell no. Y'all mad because y'all understanding that we're reprioritizing certain things. And what that means is that y'all we're creating a new group chat and you guys are not going to get your invite to this one. That's what that means. And they're afraid of that. But they can't stop it. They're trying to gaslight, you're a Republican, you're MAGA. That's not going to stop nothing. If that would have stopped something, Kamala Harris would have been president. If y'all trolling and gaslighting honestly could stop anything, Kamala Harris would be president. But she's not. Because the trolling and the gaslighting doesn't stop anything. It really don't. It don't. What y'all should do is just accept the change. Honestly. Y'all should accept and embrace the change. Get on board. Because it's happening, regardless of whether y'all want it or not. It's going to happen. It is happening currently. So y'all might as well get on board. Y'all might as well just accept it. Because there's nothing you can do. There's nothing you can do. I want to give a shout out because, special shout out to the PayPal. Appreciate you on the PayPal. Shout out to Melvina. Appreciate you for the PayPal. Thank you so very much. I do have the PayPal down there for all of the PayPal supporters. Yeah, it's not changing. They're not used to changing. I get it. I get it. It's been too long. We've allowed this to happen. So the sudden, because we making changes real fast. I'm talking about it's like night and day. It's a night and day. It's a complete transformation. It's not taking us any. I'm talking about it's almost like an overnight transformation. So they're really not used to it. And I mean, I understand you're not used to it. I don't care that you're not used to it. So it's still going to happen. It's still going to happen. I don't care that you're not used to it. You're not used to it. It is what it is. It's still going to happen. Family, since we're all in the family group chat, what I would greatly appreciate you guys doing is hitting that like button. Okay. Hitting that like button, double checking, making sure you're subscribed, and hitting the notification bell. That would be very great. That's very helpful. Thank you guys so very much for that. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and hit the notification bell. Please and thank you, my brothers and my sisters, family in the family group chat. All right. Appreciate you guys. Hopefully you guys had a good weekend. We're going to have a good week. We got some good stuff coming up this week. So we're going to have a really good week for you guys. Got some good stuff coming up for you guys this week. Shout out to every single last one of you guys. Shout out to all of y'all for supporting, watching live on the playback, all of that stuff. All right. Y'all have a good one. Of course,